She was just a theatre kid with big dreams and a script before she and Spencer Dutton rode across Africa on horses. You may be familiar with Julia Schlaepfer from her breakout role in 1923, but you may not be aware of the incredible emotional journey she underwent to get there. The rejections, cross-country moves, and small victories that culminated in a moment that changed her career. Today, we're going way beyond the screen, uncovering how a ballet-obsessed teenager transformed into one of Taylor Sheridan's brightest rising stars. From New York hustle to Hollywood headlines, this is Julia's real story, and it's even better than the show. So grab your coffee, settle in, and hit that like button, because once you hear what Julia went through to become Alexandra, you'll never see 1923 the same way again. Her early stage childhood. Julia Schlaepfer was performing under a different kind of spotlight before she ever took on the role of Alexandra in 1923, the bright, nerve-wracking lights of school theatre. Long before she knew what a Dutton was, Julia was a self-proclaimed theatre kid, spending her teenage years buried in scripts and rehearsals. Whether it was playing the quirky sidekick or taking centre stage in high school musicals, she treated every role like it was a Broadway debut. And believe it or not, this early immersion in storytelling planted the seeds for the emotionally complex characters she'd one day bring to life. Julia's passion for performing wasn't just a hobby, it was an obsession. She studied ballet rigorously from a young age, and that discipline gave her an edge when it came to timing, poise, and presence on stage. While her friends were heading to football games or sleepovers, Julia was memorizing lines, blocking scenes, and living for opening night. In interviews, she has even stated that the stage gave her a voice and a sense of belonging that she couldn't find anywhere else. This quiet power would later come to the surface in her breakout role on screen, but it wasn't always applause and curtain calls. Julia also dealt with the emotional highs and lows that come with performing, the missed cues, the self-doubt, and the fear of not being enough. However, her acting career was built on those early lessons in resilience. The grit she developed on that tiny stage eventually helped her survive the cutthroat world of Hollywood auditions and thrive in a role that demanded both elegance and emotional firepower. Her theatre kid roots didn't just prepare her for 1923, they made her unforgettable in it. First big city move. After years of perfecting her craft on school stages and in dance studios, Julia Schlaepfer made the leap that every aspiring actor dreams of. She packed her bags and moved to the big city. For Julia, that meant heading straight into the heart of New York City, where ambition buzzes louder than traffic and competition is around every corner. Armed with talent, determination, and a suitcase full of scripts, she stepped into a world far different from the quiet halls of high school theatres. Additionally, she was willing to fight for her place in it. However, life in the city wasn't always pretty. Julia was no overnight sensation. She hustled through acting classes, endured rejection, and took gigs that barely paid the bills. She auditioned relentlessly, pouring everything into roles she might not even hear back about. There were moments of doubt, moments where she questioned if she'd ever land that breakthrough. However, she remained grounded and hungry, thanks to the same drive that got her through exhausting ballet classes and endless rehearsals. She wasn't just chasing a dream, she was building the foundation for a legacy. What makes Julia's journey stand out isn't just that she made it, it's how she refused to lose her authenticity along the way. Even in a city overflowing with talent, she held on to the raw emotion and passion that made her shine back in her theatre days. That sincerity is exactly what caught the attention of casting directors when 1923 came calling. Julia's first big city move was the beginning of everything, from coffee shops and casting calls to riding a horse across the African plains on screen. Struggles and rejections. Every rising star has their fair share of closed doors, and Julia Schlaepfer's path to fame was no different. Julia had to endure a series of auditions that ended in silence, or worse, a polite but crushing no, long before she appeared on screen in 1923 as the elegant and fearless Alexandra. For every callback she earned, there were countless roles that slipped away. She even admitted that at one point she wondered if the industry had room for someone like her, someone who wasn't trying to fit a mold, but rather to break it. Living in New York City didn't make things easier. While her peers landed commercial gigs or supporting roles, Julia was grinding through rejection after rejection, juggling part-time jobs to make rent while trying to hold on to her dream. In addition, doubt can quickly set in when you are surrounded by thousands of hopefuls competing for the same spotlight. But Julia didn't let it break her, she let it shape her. Every failed audition became fuel. Every no became proof that she was still in the game, still fighting to be seen. What's powerful about Julia's story is that her setbacks weren't signs to stop. They were the very things that sharpened her talent. They taught her how to dig deeper, to bring more vulnerability, more truth to every role. So when 1923 finally came along, Julia didn't just audition, she unleashed everything she had learned from years of struggle. Because of this, her performance not only resonated, but also landed. Her journey is a reminder that rejection isn't the end. It's part of becoming unforgettable. Her first on-screen role. Before Julia Schlaepfer was sharing intense, windswept scenes with Spencer Dutton in 1923, she had a much humbler start in front of the camera, one that most fans have probably never seen. Her very first on-screen role came in the Netflix series The Politician, where she played Alice Charles, the perfectly poised girlfriend of Peyton Hobart, portrayed by Ben Platt. While the role was a far cry from a Western frontier, it was her first real taste of the screen, and she made it count. Julia was given the opportunity by The Politician to demonstrate her range in a very unique manner. Alice was polished, ambitious, and emotionally complex, a character who required both restraint and subtle intensity. Even though the series leaned towards satire and drama in a modern political setting, Julia's performance stood out. She didn't just act, she held her own in a cast filled with heavy hitters like Gwyneth Paltrow and Jessica Lange. It was proof that she could command attention even in a crowded frame. That role may not have made her a household name, but it was the beginning of something bigger. The Politician gave Julia credibility, on-set experience, and most importantly, the confidence to go after deeper, more demanding roles. It was the first step on a path that would eventually lead her to Western epics instead of streaming dramas. Looking back, it's clear, Julia wasn't just playing characters, she was developing her career scene by scene. First ever casting in 1923. Julia Schlaepfer's life changed with a single phone call, the one that told her she had landed the role of Alexandra in Taylor Sheridan's 1923. After years of rejection and uphill battles, she was finally stepping into a project that wasn't just another credit, it was a legacy. And not just any legacy, the universe of Yellowstone, a world that millions of people love, full of drama, danger, and deep character arcs. But even with the excitement, Julia knew what was at stake. This was her moment, and she had to rise to it. What made her casting so special was that Alexandra wasn't a one-note character. She was layered, elegant yet rebellious, vulnerable yet fiercely loyal. In addition, Julia brought all of that to life in a performance that awed critics as well as audiences. Behind the scenes, Taylor Sheridan reportedly saw something in her that felt rare, a mix of classical training and raw emotion that made Alexandra feel real, alive, and unforgettable. Her background in theatre gave her the tools. Her personal struggles gave her the soul. The role demanded both, and Julia delivered. When 1923 premiered, Julia wasn't just part of a hit show, she became one of its emotional anchors. Fans quickly connected with Alexandra's whirlwind romance with Spencer Dutton and her fight for freedom and identity. Julia had officially gone from that girl auditioning non-stop to the woman who stole scenes and hearts in one of TV's most talked-about dramas. Her casting wasn't just a lucky break, it was the result of everything she'd been through and everything she refused to give up on. What's next for Julia Schlaepfer? With her breakout performance in 1923, Julia Schlaepfer didn't just arrive in Hollywood, she made an impact that's impossible to ignore. And now the question everyone's asking is, what's next? With a fan base growing by the day and casting directors keeping close watch, Julia is in that rare space where anything feels possible. Rumours have already begun swirling about her return for season 2 of 1923, and while nothing's officially confirmed, fans are holding their breath to see more of Alexandra's story and more of Julia's remarkable screen presence. But it's not just the Dutton universe that's calling. Julia has expressed interest in exploring complex, challenging roles, whether in prestige films, limited series, or even the stage, where she first found her voice. Industry insiders say she's being considered for several high-profile projects, and if her 1923 performance is any indication, she's more than ready to carry a feature or headline her own series. She's got the poise of a veteran, but the hunger of someone just getting started, and that's a powerful combination. More than anything, Julia Schlaepfer represents the next wave of thoughtful, emotionally grounded actors. Stars who bring depth to every scene and never phone it in. Whether she returns to the plains of 1923, dives into a modern thriller, or surprises us with something totally unexpected, one thing is clear. This is just the beginning. Julia Schlaepfer did not become famous by accident. She earned it with grit, talent, and a fearless leap into the unknown. Her rise from small stages to the Yellowstone universe is more than just inspiring. It is also a reminder that even the most irrational dreams can become reality if you keep chasing them. Subscribe now if you want more behind-the-scenes stories from the 1923 cast or in-depth profiles of Taylor Sheridan's rising stars. We've got plenty more coming your way, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's next. In the comments, let me know which part of Julia's journey surprised you the most and what you want to see her take on next.